Well, I'll be rootin' tootin'. How you doing there, partner? That's some mighty fine work you're doing right there. But I got an even better idea. You're coming with me, partner. Let's go. Don't make this hard on yourself. Have you ever wondered what death smells like? Say goodbye to your friends and family because you're never seeing them again. Hello friends, my name is Dante, and this is the story of how I ended up kidnapping a man without his consent from his nice warm farm and tried my hardest to get him to the northern mountains without killing him. I'd like to welcome you all to Red Dead Redemption 2. Come along with me on this journey. I'm sure old Billy Boy here could use the emotional support. I remember it clearly. I was surfing the endless pages of YouTube when I came across a video called, "Can you walk a bowl of stew across the map in Red Dead Redemption 2? I watched a bit of the video and thought to myself, hey, I do videos like that all of the time and I've even done map videos before. My channel is based on gaming challenges like these. There was no turning back. I decided to make a video on Red Dead Redemption 2. Now my original idea was to see if I could get a bear to chase me across the map, but that quickly changed, and let me tell you how. I was sitting there in the crisp autumn morning, thinking about life, when it came to me. I had a plan. I was gonna get a bear to chase me from point A to point B, and although I knew it was incredibly dangerous, there was nothing else to do around this boring camp. So I set off on my horsey, and I quickly came across a man picking flowers.
Well, hey there, partner.
I only had one thought in my mind. This guy would make perfect bait for a bear. I accidentally penetrated the man with my horse and he screamed and tried to run. I instantly caught up to him, tied him up, and brought him to the nearby rundown shack. I tried placing him down on the table to do things to him, but he didn't quite make it.
Oh, please. I'm awful constrained here.
Table or floor, I'm coming for you, boy. Just kidding. Wait, you guys thought I was gonna do things to him? Jesus Christ, guys, come on, have faith in me. On the bright side, we had a new friend. You know what? Comment anything down below. I'll be responding to everyone on this video, and only about 3% of my audience actually takes the time to comment. So if I could just get that around 5 or 6%, I'd be happy, and I really do want to hear input from you guys. Literally, comment anything you want. It can be your favorite color, your favorite food, your favorite character in Red Dead Redemption 2, anything and I'll respond to it. Alright, so my new friend Jeremy and I, that's right, I called him Jeremy, we're traveling to the bear country, when all of a sudden, we came across a bridge. I really didn't feel like repeating PewDiePie's mistake, and so I slowed down. But we were ambushed by the N-word police. They wanted to see my N-word pass, and before I could even pull it out, my horse tried to sacrifice itself for me. So I beat up the first shooter, my horse beat up the next shooter.
Can do this, boy.
And I finally put an end to that whole fiasco. My horse was a hero. I mean, he started that whole gunfight in the first place, but he risked his life for me. Your actions will not be forgotten this day, brother. I noticed Jeremy was passed out from the fear of almost being killed, but off we went. And you see, this is where everything went to hell. I was happy, you know? After looking for such a long time, I had finally found a bear. The downside was that because I had kidnapped Jeremy, the bear thought I was gonna do the same thing to it, and so it was terrified of me. Did the bear not see how happy Jeremy and I were together?
Oh, I'm in trouble here.
After chasing that little shit through the forest for some time and trying to use Jeremy as bait, I thought, fuck it, if I can't get the bear to chase me, I'll just murder it with a knife. Little did I know, there was a camp of bear protesters, and the moment they saw me chasing a baby bear with a knife, they pumped my guts full of lead. No. No! Jeremy is still tied up on the horse! Jeremy! I respawned, but it was too late. Jeremy had fallen off of my horse somewhere in the forest, all tied up and alone, and there was no way I could ever find him again. Anyway, so I started attempt number 2, and this is how I thought of the idea to drag a man across the map. If you guys are as sad as I am about losing Jeremy in the woods, but you're also proud that I didn't do anything to him in that rundown shack, click the like button. Look, in all seriousness, it does tremendously help my channel to grow and get found, so if you have the time to just leave me a like, I'd really appreciate that. Now here is where we get to the catalyst of this whole operation, the meat and gravy, the prospector. Now, you might be thinking, Dante, how did a lonely little prospector give you the idea for this video? Oh my children, let me explain. I was just walking in a random field when I came across a man singing to himself, panning gold, and just living life the way we all should. So I calmly walked up to him, lasso in hand, and told him, did you know that black bears can run at a speed of up to 35 miles per hour? And that's when I sprung my trap on him. You don't have a lot of meat on your bones, partner, but I think you'll do quite nicely. I brought him to the nearest cabin that should have had a bear in it, but I was sorely disappointed when I realized that there was no bear to be seen. Damn it! I didn't want this man's precious body to go to waste, so I came up with my second idea. How about I get a man to chase me from one end of the map to the other? You can see my thought process in action, and I was getting closer to the video's main idea. So I brought the poor little prospector to the bottom of the map, which was around Strawberry. I wish I could have gone to New Austin, and I should have, I know that. But there's one reason why I didn't do this, and listen up, because I don't want to see any comments on this. I didn't start in New Austin and go all the way to Ansburg because I wanted to leave spoilers out of this video, okay? I could have easily went on my completed game file and really gone corner to corner, but again, to anyone who has beaten this game knows what I'm talking about, I wanted to leave spoilers out of it. This wasn't to make the challenge easier on myself, it's for your guys' benefit. And I didn't want to mod it or use cheats, so you guys are just gonna have to be happy with me going from Strawberry to the Northern Mountains. Alright, so let's get back into serious mode. The Prospector and I were on the bridge connecting us from Strawberry to Blackwater, and I knew that the Prospector was the man I wanted to have chase me across the map. So I dropped him on the soaking wet, muddy old bridge and untied him. I went to punch him to get him to chase me, but Arthur still had his knife in his hand from setting the Prospector free, and he committed big bad. No! Why, God, why? So I picked up his cold, lifeless body and threw him into the river. May your soul rest now, brother. Then, of course, a man witnessed everything I had just done and tried to kill me with a knife, but it's okay. I showed him who the real alpha male was. I'd already lost so many friends on this journey and had been through so much, and I knew I couldn't lose another. So I finally decided, no more trying to use people as bear bait, no more trying to get people to chase me and then accidentally murder them instead. From now on, I would capture people with my lasso like they were some kind of Pokemon and drag them away from their families and their homes. Pikachu, I choose you! And I finally get into the topic of this video. It's already halfway through the video and Dante still hasn't even gotten to the kidnapping part. Man, shut up. My videos are stories. They're not meant to answer a question in 5 seconds, they're here to entertain you guys. My plan, as I told you guys before, was to kidnap a poor, unsuspecting man in Strawberry, the farthest point of the map I could really go, and bring him to the Northern Mountains where I'd eventually set him free so he could live the rest of his life in the cold, unforgiving wilderness. I'm providing a public service. All I needed was my victim. After searching the wilderness for a couple hours, I finally came across a small farm out in the middle of nowhere. I was so excited! I jumped the nearest fence and eyed out a potential candidate. He was thick, sure, but I was afraid capturing him would make him fall on his rake and hurt himself. So I busted through the gate, and that's when I saw him. He was chopping wood like a real man, and I knew I had found the perfect candidate, so I went up to him and introduced myself. I tried talking to him, but he was ignoring me. It's okay, buddy, don't cry, just try again. I tried telling him that I knew about his nanotechnology projects.
I read all your research on nanotechnology, really brilliant.
But that didn't seem to work either. So I started saying negative things to him to see if he'd respond, and it worked. So I did the approach where I'd say something rude, then say something nice, rinse and repeat.
Who's this coward?
Watch your tongue, you idiot.
Sorry. I'll stop messing with you now.
The hell's your problem, huh?
Okay. I really am done now.
Goddamn imbecile.
Oh, stop whining.
One good shot.
Oh boy, we got a feisty one. Come on, man, don't struggle. I need to bring you to the Northern Training Gym where we can find Professor Oak. You think you can fit in something the size of a baseball? Let's go find out. And so I placed my marker on the map and got straight to work. It was dragging time. And look, man, I'm not crazy, okay? I'm not gonna steal your skin or anything like that. Why, on the contrary, you won't have any skin left by the end of this journey. And so I dragged him up hills, through valleys, and over sharp rocks. He looked like a fish out of water. I threatened him, had a good old tussle with him, and eventually started dragging again. Now, my biggest fear of this whole journey was that random people on the paths would see me kidnapping a poor innocent man and try to get involved. And although it did happen the odd time, most people told me it wasn't any of their business and kept on going their way. And of course, the best way to get this man from point A to point B would be to follow the paths, so this worked out perfectly for me in the end. But don't get me wrong, friends, there were still plenty of dangers to look out for. Big oops number 1, dragging man through water has chance of man drowning. Therefore, try to avoid lakes and rivers. Big bad number 2, there are wild animals out here. They will try and go for the weak man on the ground. Protect man at all costs. And finally, oopsie doopsie number 3, be careful not to accidentally knock out or kill the man along the way, which was surprisingly difficult to avoid. Arthur is a complete killing machine. Quickly, I came across my first obstacle, the local river. I was a bit nervous coming across it, but luckily, the man was safe. He was choking and coughing, and his butt was being dragged across the sharp rocks on the path, but at least he was still breathing. And just when I thought trouble was over, 2 men on horseback started shooting at me. So I had to kill 2 men while also making sure that my victim didn't escape? Finally, a challenge! And so I let go of the man, killed the other 2 men with my revolver, and chased my friend down until I was in rope's reach of him. Unfortunately, him running away from me only brought him up a huge hill with lots of big rocks down the side of it. So I had to drag him back down to get back to the path. You brought this on yourself, partner. I dragged and I dragged and I dragged. Day turned into night. Grunts of pain turned into silence. And my happiness turned into sadness. The man had just accepted his fate. He didn't fight me as much anymore, and he knew that his time was up. Listen to me, man. It's gonna be okay. Don't give up. I'm not gonna kill you, okay? Once we get deep into the snowy mountains, I swear to God I'll set you free. Just, please, stop crying. But then, we came to a new problem that I hadn't even thought about. Bounty hunters were after us. Not only this, but I had just come to my second river and it was too dangerous to cross. There was no way I could take the risk. And guess what? The only way to cross this dangerous river would be to bring the man to the nearest train track and drag him across while also hoping that a train didn't come during this time. Because if it did, I wasn't about to risk my life for some guy I barely knew. Frig that. And so here I was, dragging the guy over rusty nails, old wood, and cold metal beams. Come on, come on, come on! No, really though, we made it across safe and sound. At this point, I had dragged this man for miles and I was amazed he hadn't died yet. And he still had a little fight in him. Day was starting to turn into night again. It started raining, and I realized I had been dragging this poor soul for 2 days. Then, there came a point where I almost thought I had lost this man. I checked the map to see how much further I had to go, and that's when Arthur let go of the man. I panicked, Arthur panicked, and he football tackled the guy right near the water's edge, and you could see water splash all over his face. I thought that was bad enough, but Arthur proceeded to flip the man over the edge, essentially drowning him, and he tried tying him up. Arthur, stop, you're gonna kill him! He's drowning! I jumped into action, picked the man up, set him loose, and dragged him through the water. And lucky for us, right after this came our first taste of snow. Then my mom in real life told me my pizza pockets were ready, so I paused the game, and upon coming back up, Arthur let go of the man again and I tried to throw the lasso, but Arthur friggin' kicked him in the head and knocked him out. No! I tried waking him up, throwing him in the water, dragging him along, but this man was in a friggin' coma. I knew he was still alive because the dot on him was red, but still, I didn't want this to count. I wanted to drag a man from his home and set him loose in a new area to start a new family and eventually build a new civilization. So although I tried dragging him even further and waited to see if he'd regain consciousness, I decided the best course of action would be to put a bullet in his head and start over. We've been through so much, man, and I wish we could have finished this journey together, but life doesn't always work out that way. I'll see you later, brother. I needed some time to think things through. That man was important to me and I just threw him away. Why did my mom have to make me pizza pockets? None of that would have ever happened if she had just neglected me and allowed me to starve. I'll never forgive you, Mom! A few days later, I was ready to try again. No more games, no more pausing, let's just get this done. I returned to the farm and my heart stopped. There he was, chopping wood like the man I first saw. But upon getting closer, I realized this man was just a poser. It wasn't my man. So anyway, I thought he'd make a good fresh new victim and so I kidnapped him. It took me a few attempts and I just kept failing and failing. I dragged my newest man through horse poo, through mud and puddles, and then the unthinkable happened. As I was dragging him over a well-traveled path, some other douchebag on his horse trampled my man's toes and knocked him out. Oh, come on, man. And then at one point, I was going over the train tracks with my new friend when a train decided to roll up. But instead of ditching the poor guy on the tracks, I was gonna tie him up and throw him over the edge with me. As the train got too close for me to even pick the man up, I realized that in trying to save him, I had just screwed him over and the train completely flattened him. I finally said, okay, this is my last attempt. If I still can't get it done after this, I'll quit. I went back to the original ranch, captured the nearest man who decided to stare at me, and went on my final journey. I found out the man's name was Julio, and I was quite happy. I had dragged Julio very similarly to everyone else, but luck was on his side. We eventually made it to the snowy paths, which turned into knee-deep snow, which turned into my final destination, the snowy mountains. Unfortunately, he was dressed for a warm climate, and even though I felt really bad dragging him through the freezing cold snow, I knew it would be worth it in the end. You know, it was tough. He had to go through a babbling brook, and that's when hypothermia set in. Not only this, but wolves attacked again and I had to protect Julio. Luckily, I killed the wolves just in time and it was back to dragging. Day, night, dusk, dawn. It was the same story, but this time I had a good feeling. And we made it. I had finally dragged Julio to the topmost point of the map, and he hadn't died. I thanked him for his service, cut him loose, and watched him run off into the wilderness. The journey had finally come to an end, and I was satisfied at another day well spent. This man was gonna start a new civilization, and that was because of me. I was the one who populated the empty winter landscape, and I had faith that Julio would make the best of it. I looked off into the snowy mountainscape, and finally realized I was a good man. I have the full proof video of this drag on my Dante Ravioli proof channel. If I'm not mistaken, this whole drag took about an hour and a half, not even counting my failed attempts. If you guys enjoyed this video, subscribe to me because I make new gaming challenge videos like this every week. And make sure you click the bell or else you pretty well aren't subscribed to me. Just make sure you click that bell. Thanks for watching, check out my other gaming challenge videos, and if this video does well enough, I'll do another Red Dead Redemption 2 challenge. I'll see you, thick boys, in my next video.